Thanks for returning, friends. If you were with us last week, you'll remember that we took a fun dirt road drive through forested land, weaving in and out of Wyoming and Idaho in search of wildlife.
Here, bear, I'm here. If you're down here, you should run away now.
Well, it's time to continue on towards Grand Teton National Park, which means packing up camp this morning.
So you can see here at my site, can you tell which side is mine? Because I can't. It's right here in the middle. My tent was back there. It has been packed up. Everything is in the truck and ready to go, and I'm the remaining item to be placed in the truck. Before I leave, I do want to make mention of this campground because I'm not going to feature it on CampVue. I decided it's so cookie cutter and would be so time consuming to cover it. You know, it's basically row after row after row of the same thing over and over. Sites that are just, they put them as close together as possible. It's just awkward, you know? I mean, some people, everybody was nice and quiet, but it's just an awkward situation. Like you're trying to do stuff and there's someone like, you know, looking, you know, you're kind of facing each other. I'm sure it's awkward for them too. But it's just, you know, weird. And there's one right here too. And the first night, there was a group here. There's about 15 tents in this individual site. Luckily, they were quiet and behaved really well, so it wasn't a problem, but way too crowded. Oh, and another thing that really sucks is 89, the main parkway between the Yellowstone and Grand Teton, is mere feet away from where I was sleeping. And even though at night traffic is almost virtually not there, you know, really early, you've got trucks, you've got people driving by like constantly, so it's really unpleasant. And most of these tent sites are literally up against the road, like you see. It's ridiculous. And another thing, the restrooms are clear across the campground from us tent campers. We don't have any amenities over here, no trash. You have to go hike halfway across the campground to find any of that, so that sucks. Now, I haven't been to every campground yet, but from what I have seen, I would say leave this one for last. If you're camping in a tent especially. If you're in an RV and you don't care that your neighbor's window is right on your window and you can see each other, awesome. Then this might be for you. Some of you are used to that in like RV parks, but not for me is all I'm saying. So the good news, I guess the positive is you have lots of services here in the campground, as you saw. Showers, you got a gas station right here, that lodge. The lodge has a restaurant in it. I've eaten at the restaurant on both nights. I broke my rule. I did make lunches and I made my food, but I opted, instead of making dinner at my campground, I came over here at the end of each day to try to get something a little healthier. So I just went into the grocery store. It's so not a grocery store. And I got a, I think, locally made cinnamon roll made from the Country Bakery LLC in Lovell, Wyoming. Looks really good, actually. And then I got a coffee. 16 ounce is the biggest they had. Kind of dinky to me. I like my 20 ounce. Come on. It'll do, but I've had worse. Yeah. It looks good, it looks very appetizing, but when it comes to cinnamon rolls, there's nothing special about it. And it's a bit on the dry side. And when you have dry mouth from radiation treatment from cancer, that's all right. I decided to head down to the Snake River one more time. I filmed here a couple times on the last couple episodes. Was here yesterday afternoon at the end of the last week's episode. Cast my line in the water, was having issues, mainly because the spinner I was using was, I used a really small one, but it was too light and I couldn't cast it far. And I don't think you're supposed, I need to research, I don't think you're supposed to use split shot or sinkers here, lead ones. I think that's what I have. So I'm not going to use that to help get some extra weight on it. But these lures also sink far enough in anyway, so I don't know if that would be a good idea to begin with. But my spot, the one that I like, is open. There's nobody here. I guess in the morning everybody's doing all the touristy stuff or just getting up. So I got put this on there using a larger spinner this morning, a different color. Experiment a little bit and see if we get a bite. Not sure. Much better. Much better. So far that lure goes a lot further out. I can cast it out to the center. I'm seeing multiple fish jumping here, so I know there's fish in there. It's been like 2 or 3 jumps out there, but nothing's really targeting it. This spinner though, when I see it underwater, it doesn't spin as nicely as other ones. It's kind of more erratic. So not sure if that's a problem or not with these things. And now I think outside of just casting, I need to kind of understand the lure methodology, the best way to emulate prey to get the fish to bite. Trying to do things to how I envision fish to, how this would move in the water, but I could be totally wrong. Anyway, so I was fishing for about, I don't know, like a good 15-20 minutes. And good news to report, I guess, in terms of my technique and what I'm feeling, but really not getting any action at all. And this is a very active area. You will see fish like coming up to the surface and attacking something. I actually got visuals on a fish, looked like a trout, probably like a medium-sized fish. I think it was checking out my lure and kind of following it. I couldn't be sure though. But basically, there's fish in these waters for sure. I'm gonna have to pick this mess up. Look at the mess someone left here. Whoever did that, really, I think you should have jail time, to be honest. We're in bear country. Just so disgusting. All right, that was a freak accident that just happened here. Like, only happens to me, it seems. So I was casting, brought the rod back, did this motion, and I felt like contact with something. And I'm like, what the heck? Like, I was really confused for a moment. And then I saw a bird drop into the water. So it's one of these, like, I don't know if they're swallows. It's up there. Basically, I fished it out of the water with my net. I don't want to show it because it's sad, actually. I feel bad. But basically, I fished it out of the water. I think it's cold, so I took it out and I put it in the sun. And I've been watching it. And it seems like it's conscious. It, moves. So I was able to hold it in my hand and set it in the sun because I think it got all wet and cold. So now I put it down there and I was gonna scoop it up in my hands and bring it up to the drier rocks, and then it started to fly a little bit. So that's a good sign. It's actually up and it went up to the sand up there. So I think it's recovering. I hope it's gonna be okay. So it went up there in the sand. I went to check on it again, and then it saw me coming and it got scared, which is good because it should. And then it just up and flew away. And I watched it fly. Like it flew all the way down there to those trees. So I think it's probably in those pine trees way off in the distance. And when it was flying, it looked normal. So its wing wasn't broken. I think I just, when I was casting, it just got a good thwack and then knocked it into the water, and that cold water shocked the system. And then I fished it out with a net, put it in the sun, gave it like 5-10 minutes. And I think that's all it needed was to warm up, and flew away. So that's awesome. I feel so much better. Like that really would sour the fishing experience for me. Just a freak accident. I don't know how many of you have had that one happen, where you catch a bird, not a fish. Leave it to me. I also wanted to report I went back down there and picked up that big mess. It was a mess. The dumb thing is this plastic bag was part of the mess, so they had the means to put everything in the freaking bag and take it. It's absolutely disgusting. And they're like little kids' socks. Looks like little girls if they're, I guess, pink. Like, so basically my impression is it's some parent or parents creating that example for your kids, assuming your kids was down there with all the food wrappers and my God, I wish I could catch someone in the act of doing that. I don't know what I'd say or what I'd do, but shame on whoever that is. All right, we're gonna say goodbye to this area of the Snake River. Probably, I won't be back up this way for sure. We're heading pretty further south of here, so anyway, so I got trash to throw away now. Place is clean and immaculate again. And now I need to go wash my hands because I touched all their napkins and all their nasty crap they left everywhere. People, man, people suck. That's why I don't, that's why I think I'm such a loner in life, is just that so many people suck so bad. So, I've got a route plotted. And we've got 35 minutes to go to get to the first campground. So I only have really 2 campgrounds to film. I'd say medium size, but very popular. And then I think what we'll do is make a beeline for my campsite tonight, get set up, try to check in early, get that done. US 191 south, 21 miles. And I have some places that I want to explore as part of this video that I never got to see the last time I was in these parts, some historic stuff. So we got a pretty good itinerary for today. And so far, so good, other than picking up trash. But I feel good that I did it. I did the right thing. I am excited though about heading down south now, because even though I don't like the crowds and I expect big crowds, especially with one of our locations today, the Jenny Lake, basically, campground. I think I'm predicting that's going to be a nightmare to just navigate around and drive. Hopefully the campground is off to the side or something and I don't have to contend with traffic problems, but that all aside, this is just such a beautiful, like maybe one of the most beautiful landscapes on earth, in my opinion. The way you oftentimes see the mountains sitting in front of water. You oftentimes get reflections of the mountains. How at sunrise, with the sun rising in the east, it can make the mountains look beautiful and pink and red. And I do have a plan for one morning tomorrow to start off our episode at a famous spot for sunrises, just a teaser. But I'm seeing the Tetons now, and wow, just wow. Oh, it's this little spot. This is a great spot for photos, as you can see. And I was here late in the afternoon a couple days ago. It was overcast, but this is where I was. This is where we did our little dipping our toes into the water. But this is why I have a hard time enjoying national parks. And there's nothing wrong with what the people are doing. I'm not criticizing the people. It's just my taste. It's just having to deal with finding parking and not having that special connection with nature that I think requires silence and quiet and sometimes aloneness for reflection. It's just hard to find that unless you go late in the day like I did on an overcast day. You can find it, you just have to be patient at times. But so that's the trade-off with these kinds of places. So the next order of business before I do this CampVue drive-through of Signal Mountain Campground is the name of it. Let me do my CampVue pitch that I do on every episode. So CampVue is a YouTube channel, and it's now an app at campvue.com, but spelled CampVue.com. And the YouTube channel, we'll put a link in the description, is of the same name, CampVue. And what I typically do, the main draw of CampVue, is I do these drive-throughs of campgrounds where I get video of each campsite. So not just a still photo that shows you a sliver of the campsite where you can't discern a lot from
but a full wide angle sweep in video of each campsite, every single campsite, so that when you book on a reservation system, you can do so with confidence and you can find and shop for whatever suits your needs. Also on the app, think of it as a Yelp, but for campsites. So there's a user review system. You can review campsites, you can review cell phone signal strengths for multiple carriers and various factors. Does the campground have good shade? Is it private? Is it good for RVs? All information at a glance you can find at the campsite level, not the campground, but each individual campsite is what we're going for. So go check it out. If you're an avid camper, I think it's a really helpful tool that you're gonna wanna use in the future. And check it out and create an account so you can start writing reviews and contributing to the community today. So what I need to do to prepare is I'm keeping an eye out now. We're about 12 miles away or 17 minutes, so we're close enough where I could do my full camera mount. I typically don't mount my cameras until I get close to the campgrounds. I figure why take the risk of having cameras mounted up on my roof. Never had a problem before, but it's just like keep them off out of the elements until I really need them. And I've got about 11 miles, 16 minutes, so I do need to find a staging area so I can set up, test, configure, and then roll. So I'm keeping an eye out for like a scenic overlook area with a nice view to show you that's also not crowded, but probably not going to find something that's not crowded. We're out in prime time now, middle of the day almost, 11 a.m. So not expecting no crowds, but hopefully a parking spot where I can do this work and set up. All right, let's do this. I have the cameras mounted on the roof, ready to use them. Made sure there's no bug splats on the lenses, all that kind of good stuff. And now we're off to the races. All right, back on the main road here. You can see the Tetons sticking up over the trees if you look carefully, but now they're going behind the trees. But no worries, you're gonna get fantastic views of it all. We're gonna be in some of the prime areas in the park for this kind of thing. I'm excited, I really am. I am energized by this place. The GoPros take so dang long to fire up that by the time there's a view there you could probably see for the moment, the kind of views I wanna show you, but it's like by the time I get the thing spun up, it's too late half the time. And I can't afford to just keep them on because the batteries drain fast. And I do use the Enduro batteries for my GoPros, and which are better than the old blue ones for sure. It's an improvement, but still. So is that Coulter Bay? Yes, I believe that's Coulter Bay is over to the right. We already did that campground the other day. That was my big one to get done. That is a huge, well over 300 sites in that place, and I got them all with almost no problem. A couple of technical issues with the GoPro, but not gonna complain about GoPros on this episode, even though I could do a whole episode with my complaints. All right, we're making a right turn onto something called Teton Park Road, and I think it's gonna have us point straight at the mountains now. So I'm hoping here we get like that view that I've been chasing for you today, just to show you. We're gonna get many views like this.
Turn right onto Teton Park Road.
But let's see what you guys think. Dun, 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 dun. It's gonna curve even more in a minute, but look at those majestic mountains. Look at those Grand Tetons. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Only 5 minutes to go too till call time. First campground. The final countdown. 3 to do to complete the Teton set. although we didn't do Headwaters as I mentioned. But yeah, this is the view right here. This is what I came here for. Signal Mountain Campground drive-through done. That went smoothly. I thought it went well, and that was a weird campground because you have to do 3 whole passes because it's like a one-way loop, and then then you got to go back around, and then it loops up higher, and then loops up higher 3 times. It'll make sense if you see the video, but kind of a pain in the butt, but I did it with no difficulty. No complications, the technology worked, no cameras barked, and look at that view to celebrate. We're heading to Jenny Lake now, which is my ultimate fear. I've never got to experience Jenny Lake or enjoy it because it's just, you're gonna see. I gotta stop here though. This is a fantastic little point, and I gotta change a battery out anyway, so I'm gonna do that, and I guess I gotta leave the car running so I don't lose my directions.
That is just something else. Sometimes you gotta get out and get footage with other cameras so you can zoom in so you get that scale. I mean, there's very little that's finer than that. In my opinion, that's just, it's mind-blowing. Boom.
All right, that was a nice turnoff here. I mean, there's lots of views like this of these mountains. I forgot how awesome some of these roads are in here, the way I don't know if it was done intentionally, whoever designed the roads to get these kind of views, or if it was just coincidence, but some of the best like scenic roads in America, just because of the way you face the subject often here. It's just, I forgot how cool it actually is. It's amazing. I mean, you can truly enjoy the Grand Teton National Park from a vehicle if that's your only choice. Maybe you have mobility issues or something like that. I think if you just drove like these roads here like this, there's lots of places you can go, and I think in so many different views of it that you would have a very rich experience, even from a vehicle, in my opinion. I mean, where else do you get to see stuff like that? I like the Eastern Sierra, for example, and I think those can be pretty dramatic, but nothing like this. Even Mount Whitney is really cool and dramatic, and it's got some of that craggy tops like this, but nothing seems to beat these like pointy glacier-formed peaks. And really just the abruptness, how they just rise out of nowhere. It's just like this flat plain and then bam, like I said earlier. Okay, so we're about 8 minutes away, 5.2 miles from Jenny Lake, the Jenny Lake area, and what I'm expecting to see will be a sea of cars overflowed onto the main road for parking. It's probably, I don't know if I might go so far to say it's the most popular place in the park. I'm sure it's beautiful. I've never done it. You can take a boat, or your own kayak for that matter if you start early, across the lake to some world-class hiking trails and overlooks. And I've seen plenty of videos and stuff, and it's high on my list to do. But man, I just can't, I just don't handle the crowds. And what I was gonna do and what I will do one day is arrive really early in the morning, especially before winds and weather come, and then take my kayak myself. You can paddle from where the boat tours are around the lake to the other side, and then do your hiking, whatever, and try to finish early, because around here, every time I'm here in the afternoons, the weather blows in. I've had storms, rains just come out of nowhere, but all right, I'm gonna look at that. Look at that. Wow. And I am genuinely curious to see what Jenny Lake Campground is like. Do you get lake views? Do you get, like, are there trees obstructing the mountains? Like, what is it? I have no idea. But we're gonna find out today. And if you wanna see, you'll have to keep an eye on CampVue for when I release that footage. But it is probably, like, just on paper, it's probably like the location and where it is. It's maybe at the top of my list for where I want to stay, but I'm saying that without having seen it. And look at, oh my gosh, this road, I just forgot how good the show is from the vehicle. And I love the twists and turns in the road because it's like the cameras on top should be sweeping and turning and getting motion of the landscape and all that good stuff. Like, we are like right up on it. And at the base of the mountains, the best part are all these glacial lakes, like String Lake, Jenny Lake, Taggart Lake, and others too. All right, we just finished Jenny Lake Campground drive-through. That was a success. It's one loop all the way around, so it was easy to film, and it's a beautiful campground. I would say it is currently my #1 pick for where I want to stay in the future. But you could see I'm kind of leaving the area, and all this parking overflows out to the main road. And I need to do one thing here. Gros Ventre Campground. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. I just had a full signal like 1 second ago, and now I don't. Oh well, we'll figure it out. We're heading south, I think, so that's where I need to go. But anyway, well, I don't get the technology, yeah, but here's the what I'm talking about. Like, there's several parking lots full to the brim. There's overflow on the other side of the road. There's overflow over here. It's a madhouse. So technically you could go do everything you want to do. You're just going to be parking like a mile away. See, and it doesn't stop. It keeps going and going. Call me crazy, but it's this kind of stuff that I just don't enjoy. It's just too many people. Like, it takes away from the experience for me. So it's about noon now. So what I think I'm gonna do is head to my campground for tonight and tomorrow night. Gros Ventre or Gros Ventre. I'm gonna ask somebody, a ranger or somebody, how they pronounce it around here. I don't know exactly how to get there. I'm just heading south, which I know is correct. And I know it's like on the southern side of everything here. So at least we're going in the general direction, and I've had no problem with signals until right now. And even with like 3 bars of LTE, Google's struggling to search. Maybe because I'm pronouncing it wrong. Or not the way it knows how to pronounce it, I don't know. But as usual, we're gonna head to a campsite, set up, and then give you my first reactions. I'll tell you the truth about what I like, dislike, all of that stuff. And then once I get that all set up, I actually do have a little bit of adventuring to do, a couple places of historic interest that I want to check out with you guys on this particular episode. And we're doing great on time. So is this Taggart Lake, I wonder? Yeah, I've done this hike actually, and I did have to park in overflow. So if you want to see the video of this Taggart Lake area, another very popular area, I made a video there, and it was a nice day. And then I got way deep in there, and then had a surprise storm come upon me with all my camera equipment and stuff. Hear that? And I made a run for the car. But it was really pretty back there. I really enjoyed that hike, and clearly others do too. But I wanted to actually say something. I do have a route plotted now. We're about 20 minutes away from the campground. And I think the reason why Google wasn't finding it, because I had a weaker signal and it found it, So I started trying to pronounce it in different ways. So I said Gros Ventre, and it liked that, and it found it immediately. I think the problem is I have French heritage. My mother's French, like native French born. My grandparents, who are no longer with us, spoke fluent heard French my whole life. I took French in high school. On and off, I would speak it a little bit with my grandparents, when I took care of them in their older years. So when I see French things, like I'm from St. Louis originally, a lot of French names in St. Louis, but the Americanized versions of things, like I struggle with it because I heard it with a native French tongue. So when I hear people say "au jus" and like things like that, like instead of saying "o" is how you pronounce that, "au," it's not "ow." But in the Americanized version, you would have things like that. So it's like, I don't care how people pronounce things. I'm not criticizing that. It's just, I struggle because I'm always like, well, do I try to imagine how Americans would say it so they know what I'm talking about? Or do I try to pronounce it the correct way, how it would be said in French? Make sense? I guess here's the official entrance gate on the south side to Grand Teton, so let's just see what the damage is going to be. I didn't realize we had to leave the park to get to this campground because the campground is, to my knowledge, it is a national park campground inside the national park, but there's a nice little line, but it's noon, so that's expected. It's prime time. And I would say this is nothing. This is small peanuts. Go to Yosemite and wait in one of their 2-hour lines and then come complain to me. That's actually luxury, I would say. That's not bad at all. But I'm curious, do I have to go in through another gate now since we've officially left the park and we're heading south? Or we'll find out. We will find out soon enough. All right, I am checked in. My site was there. And I asked her, I was like, how do the locals pronounce this place? And I was right originally. They do say, she said it's Gros Ventre. So not how Google's saying Gros Ventre. She said it's Gros Ventre, which was my guess. And I'm in 218. I think she said I'm kind of in the woods, which I like. I like shade. And I got my little map here. They gave me directions on everything. So now what we're waiting for is my reaction. Like, how spaced out is it going to be? There's a bunch of like RV spots in there with electric hookups that look kind of crowded. Actually, I don't think that might actually be like for personnel only. Wonder if that's where the staff actually stays back there, but it's really pretty so far. I like this little patch. Gros Ventre. So I'm in 218. That's another employee residence. Wait, is this me right here? No, it's 208. Okay, this looks hopeful. The sites are kind of close, but not as close as they were at the last place. So far, I'm hopeful. Is it even on the left? Yeah, I think even on the left, odd on the right. So 215, 217, I bet you I'm right here. Huh. I'll have to get out and think this one through and see what I think. It's kind of a small site, pretty close to my neighbor, but it'll probably do fine. Let us explore. Basically, when I book things too, I do it like weeks in advance, so the pickings are slim usually, and I'm usually waiting for like consecutive nights to open up, like cancellations. So that's probably why I end up sometimes with some of the less desirable sites. Not saying this is not desirable, but it does seem a little bit close to these people here. But let's get out and look. All right, it is time for first impressions with Glenn from the Cactus Atlas. So my site is site 218 here at, I don't know what the WC means, but I don't think it has any relevance. They do have bear lockers, so every site gets their own, which is nice because sometimes you have to share them. You can see 219 is right here, right next door, but now that I'm in it, I would say it's pretty par for the course in terms of like national park campground spacing. It's cool, and the thing that makes this okay to me is actually, it's way better than yesterday. So let me just get that out of the way. But I like this little spot back here where I'm gonna put my tent. It's kind of back in this little area in the trees. These people are pretty far away. As far as national park campgrounds go, that spacing is excellent. It's really just, you know, this one you could see 219 is pretty close, but still there's a couple trees where you can like maneuver and hide your face a little bit if you need to. It all really just depends on the behavior of people. Like if they're quiet, keep to themselves, no issues. But if they're loud, annoying, then it starts to suck a little bit, but it's not too bad. The only thing that, I don't know where they would actually put their tent, if they would put it like right here. I don't think they would. Doesn't look like the grass is flattened. So I don't know where you would put a tent in here. I mean, you'd have to put it back here, wouldn't you? I'm just trying to predict like how close I would expect someone to be, and let's see if this is even reserved. They're all probably reserved. Yeah, there's a ticket on there. Because it's like they would totally be encroaching on my space if they put their tent over there. I probably wouldn't say anything. I would just complain to you guys about it. I don't want to be a jerk or anything, but okay, so yeah, today is the 6th, so there's somebody here for one night. So we'll see how that goes and what they end up doing. But overall, I think I'm pleased, actually. I'm pleased because of where my tent's gonna go, and I'm also pleased because, you know, it's the middle of the day right now, where shade's gonna be kind of tricky, and I can already see that these trees keep the area where my tent is gonna be nicely shaded. And it's warmer down here for sure. You know, we've come down, I think, in elevation compared to places we've been so far. You can actually see the mountains over this ways too. It's really pretty. If I'm remembering my French correctly, if Gros Ventre means big belly, I think that's what it means. That hill kind of reminded me of someone laying down, and I wonder if that's where the name came from, is this big like hill that's obstructing the mountains back there. That would make sense. All right, so here's my little sanctuary for tonight and tomorrow night, so I don't have to tear down camp tomorrow and we can enjoy the day. Those are my favorite days on the trip, and there's that really large hill behind there, and then the Grand Tetons behind the trees. What views! These are good views. You can kind of walk a trail to go behind the trees there and get a better look, which we'll do later most likely. But I'm happy. Earlier I was surmising that maybe Gros Ventre, the name it means big belly, so I thought this big feature in front of us that looks kind of like a big swell in the earth, like this big, almost a cross between a big hill and a mountain, obscuring that might be what they referred to as big belly. It kind of just sticks up like a big belly. Kind of what I thought, but that's not actually the correct origin of where this name Gros Ventre came from. I actually looked it up on online just now. So it is derived from the French trappers that would have arrived in this region, I'm assuming in the 1800s. And basically they ran into this Algonquin-speaking tribe. And the French trappers most likely misinterpreted some kind of hand signal
where apparently they did something. They would put the French trappers saw them put their hands in front of their belly, and they thought that it meant they were kind of identifying themselves or, introducing themselves or something of that nature. But most likely that was a misinterpretation, the thing that I read of whatever that meant. But it became Big Belly, basically. This hand gesture over their bellies is where the French started calling them, I guess, the tribe, the Big Bellies. So Gros Ventre in French. So that's basically the origin of why you have this interesting name here. And I figured it had something to do with the French trapper history, because I knew this is an area that they were in. So probably the real original mountain men. But anyway, so I thought that was really interesting. It has nothing to do with that feature over there. I could probably look on my online maps and see what the name of that is for later. But there you go. It's named after indigenous people that were here when the French arrived. And they're probably just like, what is that song? Like headache, heartburn, diarrhea. That Pepto-Bismol commercial, that's what it is. You got upset stomach, blah, blah, blah. You know the one. So another piece of good news is that I completed all of the campground drive-thrus for the day. The Grand Teton set is complete with, I would say, among the most important campgrounds filmed on my northern tour this year. That's really good news, because I would say from here on out, we're kind of coasting downhill a little bit. I've got more to film and do. We're not done with this trip. I've got another national park to go to and another state park. But I would say in terms of search volume and importance for the app, the Glacier National Park, Yellowstone, and Grand Teton set of campgrounds are everyone that I was able to get to, which is almost all of them, is done. And not only done, but backed up onto my backups. So yeah, that is huge. That also means that I have all this surplus time, and I do have more itinerary, but it's more for us here to do some fun things and check out a couple spots that I wasn't able to see the last time I was here, which requires going into the national park. So I might wait a little bit. It's really hot. So I'll let this kind of go. Maybe I'll eat lunch or something here. And then after that, we can head into, thought I heard something. We can head into the park again and hit up a couple of these spots later in the afternoon, once the lighting's better too. But then again, the afternoon clouds are always, every time I come here, the sky's blue in the morning and then big clouds run in, you get localized showers, nothing huge, but I'm starting to see evidence of that today. But well, it is what it is. We'll deal with it. So I guess for the time being, I'm gonna move with the shade. The shade keeps moving on me, so I have to move the chair every like half an hour. But basically, let's admire my tent pitching skills. You know how many times I have set this tent up and slept in it now? I've lost count. I could probably figure it out, but we're probably in terms of months spent sleeping in that at this point. Months of a year. Like it's a lot, because I've been on the road. I used it all last summer, and I took some 2-week long trips or more. And this is a 3-week stint, and I did 3 trips last year. So definitely spent, in terms of months, probably a couple months sleeping in this thing. So if REI still sells the Base Camp 4, I really should do a review, because it's a spectacular tent and there's nothing wrong with it. Even it's in great shape. Anyway, this battery is about to die, so I'm gonna cut here and then we'll hang out when I get back out on the road this afternoon.
So tune in tomorrow when we start exploring Grand Teton National Park. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you then.